Coming up next on the Jeff Crilley Show, it's not often that you get to entertain a sitting governor, but the governor of Alaska is in our studios. You'll meet him next.
Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home.
We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network.
We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team, and the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is the Jeff Crilley Show.
Well, I got to confess, I'm excited. I've never interviewed a sitting governor in my studio before. We've got Governor Mike Dunleavy in our studio today. He's a Republican governor of Alaska. Thanks for coming on the show.
It's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
All right, we first have to ask, I mean, we've got a winter blast coming in.
Is this really a winter blast? This is a warm summer day in Alaska.
You guys would be out in bathing suits on a day like this.
We'd be on the beach.
And you know, they don't know how to plow snow here.
That's all we do. We invented snow and we invented plowing.
Well, I want the audience to get to know you. Why are you in Texas right now?
I got a lot of friends in Texas. There's a lot of commonalities between Alaska and Texas. We're a big oil state. We're a big gas state, resource state. So is in Texas. So you have a lot of companies that do work both in Texas and up in Alaska. And we're just touching base with some friends and always looking for opportunity like Texas is to bring some more work to Alaska.
And you are a conservative and you are a man of the people. And to put an exclamation point on that, I went on YouTube to find the day that you were sworn in, and it was a kind of a wild day. Let's go ahead and run that clip.
Alaska was slated to make history when Governor Mike Dunleavy chose Norvik for his swearing-in ceremony, the village where his wife Rose grew up.
It's amazing to have your own classmate as a first lady. Beautiful.
The tiny town had been preparing for days, but then something happened no one could prepare for. A storm forced Dunleavy's flight to divert to Kotzebue. By constitution, he had to be sworn into office by noon, which meant he wouldn't make it to Norvik in time. But the show went on. Alaska had not one, but 2 swearing-in ceremonies, the official one in Kotzebue and a symbolic one in Norvik. The crowd, glued to a live stream, cheered as the First Lady made her way to the stage and gave the new governor a standing ovation. Just as it looked like the ceremony had come to a close, a plane appeared on the runway.
Welcome home.
Welcome.
Well, thanks for having
Welcome.
Sorry we're late. We had a little detour at a place called Kotzebue.
The inaugural celebration was just getting started. Dunleavy came bearing big promises.
And I just want to let you know, as your governor moving forward, that you will never be forgotten. Whether it has to do with the educational system, you won't be forgotten. Whether it has to do with crime, things like sexual assault, you are not going to be forgotten.
He prayed with locals.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
And broke bread with villagers in a potlatch feast, the first governor ever to choose rural Alaska for the big celebration.
You are our people. And you accepted me a long time ago when I came up here and married one of your daughters. And I've never forgotten that.
As Mother Nature would have it, the spotlight shined bright enough to include 2 Arctic communities on the historic day. Today's turn of events is still a first for the nation. Even though Governor Dunleavy got diverted to Kotzebue, he's still the first U.S. governor to take the oath above the Arctic Circle. His time here in Norvik was brief. He spent most of it here at the school, named after his late father-in-law, just a few short hours before he and his family, as well as the Lieutenant Governor, Kevin Meyer, headed back to Anchorage. A spokesperson tells us that Dunleavy was holding a cabinet meeting tonight to talk about the aftermath of the earthquake in south central Alaska. Reporting in Norvik, Liz Raines, KTVA 11 News.
I am so impressed. I mean, that speaks volumes about you that you didn't want to do it in Anchorage. You actually wanted to be out there with the people.
Yeah, so I spent 20 years out in rural Alaska. My wife is an Inupiaq Eskimo lady from north of the Arctic Circle. And that place was Norvik, and the other town was Kotzebue, and they're about 500 air miles from Anchorage. I was the first governor to be sworn in above the Arctic Circle. And for myself, that meant a lot because that's where I kind of started. Our kids were born up there. I was married up there. And a lot of times, folks in rural Alaska are forgotten. It's a big state, and you can't get everywhere. And this was an opportunity for us to just reaffirm to the people of rural Alaska that we care about them. They're part of the great state, and it was just a fun time, to be honest with you. It was a real joy to be there.
All right, tell me about your values. What do you stand for?
Well, individual freedom. I was a type of kid, and you may relate to this. I was the type of kid that always grew up when I was growing up. I didn't like to be told what to do. I wasn't going to bother anybody else, but I didn't like to be told what to do. And so, Constitution is very important to me. Obviously, all of our amendments. The Second Amendment is huge in Alaska. We're a Second Amendment state in Alaska. But I just like to live as free as possible. And I know that word sometimes is overused, but when you come to Texas, you get that same feeling. When you go to Alaska, if you've never been there and you do, you'll get that same feeling. You don't necessarily get that same feeling when you're in Washington, D.C. I was just there a couple days ago. And, it's still a very restrictive place because of their decision to relate to the virus in a manner that a lot of us have moved on from. But I would say, pretty much a libertarian, conservative, pro-life leaning Republican is what I am.
Wow. And tell me about, you're running again?
Yes.
And what is your campaign pledge?
Well, when we came in, we made a pledge to reduce crime rates. And after 3 years, we're going in our 4th year now, our murder rates are down 30%. Our car thefts are down 50%. Our burglaries, robberies are down 15%. As a matter of fact, right across the board, crime is down. It's lower than it has been in many cases since 1974 when they started keeping the statistics. We support our men and women in blue. We have a number of military bases in Alaska. A lot of folks don't realize this, but we're only a couple miles from Russia. And we have the highest per capita of retired veterans in the entire United States are in Alaska. So support the country, support the flag, support our veterans, our men and women, like I said, in blue, our emergency responders. And, we're running on a resource development platform. We have a lot of renewable potential like Texas does. Alaska is a very green state, a very wet state, so we have a lot of water, a lot of running water, standing water that we can capitalize on for renewables as well. But we're a big oil and gas state, we're a big timber state, we have a lot of rare earths, critical minerals, and we want to do what Texas is doing, that's provide opportunity for its people.
And you've become a leading national voice for conservative voters. I just saw you on Fox News. We've got a little clip there. What were you talking about in that clip?
Well, we were talking about the mandates. For example, Alaska's death numbers are the second lowest in the country behind Vermont. We believe we handled the virus as well or better than just about every other state. We never had a statewide mask mandate. We never had a vaccine mandate. We don't allow vaccine passports. And so we wanted to make sure that our people had access to health care and that our health systems stayed intact during this virus. But it's really up to individual Alaskans to decide, if they want the vaccine, if they want to treat themselves with therapeutics, if they do get infected. And I would say the majority of Alaskans right now are happy as to how we approach this virus.
And you're getting a lot of global headlines. In fact, it just occurred to me that Miss America comes from Alaska.
Yes.
And you said that you had a chance to meet her recently?
Yes. So Emma Broyles is her name. She's 20 years old. She's a Korean American. Her mom is a Korean heritage. And she won the Miss America, which was fantastic. She's a wonderful young lady. She came down to Juneau when we had our State of the State speech here a few days ago, stayed at the mansion with her dad. And, when you think of Miss America, you're hoping that the person that wins it really demonstrates or, reflects the character of Miss America. And she truly does. She's just a wonderful young lady. And she's going to represent Alaska and America well.
Well, I think you represent Alaska well as well. And thank you so much for coming on the show.
It's great to be here.
We're going to end with your website, which is dunleavygovernor.com. And I encourage our viewers to go check it out. Thank you so much for coming on the show, Governor.
Very good seeing you.
That's it for now. We'll see you next time.